Chex cereal exists because of this like random crazy like white supremacist movement in the 20th century. Isn't that crazy?
Up next, it's time for Brad vs. TikTok, my segment where I react to the craziest and cringiest ideas on the Clock app. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button and comment with your thoughts as we go along. Now today, join me for another update from TikTok on how every possible thing imaginable is somehow racist and problematic, including cereal?
Good morning and welcome to the latest edition of Everything is Racist. This is not a series, but maybe it should be because everything is racist and it's really crazy. So anyway, today we're talking about Chex Mix because it came across TikTok. It was like a skit talking about Chex Mix and I was like, oh, that's funny. And then I was like, what is Chex Mix? Because you don't really think about that kind of stuff, but someone had to come up with that. And originally I was trying to figure out what like Chex meant, like C-H-E-X. So anyway, I Googled Chex Mix. So Chex Mix, we know, is like this snack mix stuff. It's like pretzels and then like those random like cracker bits in it. Anyway, the main base ingredient we all know is Chex breakfast cereal. Like, that's where it also gets its name. So, okay, well, what is Chex breakfast cereal? Well, Chex breakfast cereal used to be known as shredded Ralston, okay? And so I was like, well, where's this Ralston coming from? Because again, I'm trying to figure out what Chex means or where it originated. So anyway, it used to be known as shredded Ralston. And it was produced and owned by this company called the Ralston Purina company, and it was introduced in like the mid 20th century. Okay, so what is the Ralston Purina company? So it was based in St. Louis. It doesn't exist anymore because it merged with Nestle to become the Nestle Purina Pet Care Company, or a division of Nestle to become that extension of the company. Okay, heard of Nestle Purina Pet Care Company? That's familiar. But anyway, let's go back to Ralston Purina. So Ralston Purina, that company was founded in the late 19th century by this guy, William Danforth, and it was established to basically produce animal feed. And he partnered with this guy, George Robinson, whatever. They're just making animal food. And so then they started making breakfast cereal because they got this endorsement from this guy named Webster Edgerly to market the cereal as Ralston breakfast cereal. Again, I'm like, what is this Ralston? So Ralston comes from the term Ralstonism. Okay, what is that? So Ralstonism was a social movement founded by that guy Webster Edgerly that, quote, promoted his pseudoscientific ideas of personal and racial hygiene, end quote. Yikes. So it started as the Ralston Health Club. And this health club published this guy's writings, and it was a hierarchical organization where members were ranked according to the number of degrees they had, which ranged from 0 to 100. So this just, again, sounds really bad. And Edgerly was initially publishing these ideas under a pseudonym, Everett Ralston. And Ralston apparently was an acronym that stood for regime, activity, light, strength, temperation, oxygen, and nature. So these things that like laddered back to this sort of like these ideas of personal and then thus racial hygiene. Anyway, Edgerly saw his followers as the founding members of a new race based on Caucasians and free from impurities, and he advocated for the castration of all anti-racial, aka non-Caucasian males at birth. So, conclusion, because I'm not going to go deeper into Ralstonism, is that Chex cereal exists because of this like random, crazy like white supremacist movement in the 20th century. Isn't that crazy?
Y'all, these TikTokers have way too much time on their hands. I'm just like wondering, who cares? I mean, it sounds like this ideology that he traced it back to is crazy and does sound racist, absolutely. But what does it have to do with Chex cereal in 2024 or Chex Mix or any of the products and companies as they exist today? Literally nothing. Yet he's branding this product racist in its current form because of these ancient, archaic connections that are extremely 5 layers of connection to some bad thing. What is the point of this endeavor? What is the point of finding random tiny threads you can grasp at, and if you search hard enough hundreds of years ago, find some racism or something? Literally 0 black people are adversely affected by Chex Mix in their day-to-day life in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I bet a lot of black people like it. It's a tasty cereal. And as far as I'm aware, the company is not racist. I'm sure they employ people of all races and serve all customers. Like, there's no actual issue here. You're just seeking out new layers of oppression Olympics, things to discover and be outraged over and be upset about. Maybe it's a sign of progress, honestly, that the demand for racism is now exceeding the actual supply. But it does distract from the real issues that do need to be addressed still, and even from the perspective of a woke progressive, you really wouldn't think that that's a good thing to be doing. I worry a lot about the mindset of individuals like this. It seems like they're going through life constantly seeking ways to be victims or to be oppressed, as if that is a desirable thing. And I think that's an unfortunate consequence of this online culture that socially valorizes victimhood and almost treats it like a form of social currency. We should want people being resilient and trying to overcome challenges and discrimination things, not actively trying to be as victimized as possible and framing themselves in this way. I just don't think that's a healthy or constructive mindset that's going to help you be happy or make the most out of your life. And this oversaturation of complaints about racism, it really does kind of have a boy who cried wolf effect. If you're calling everything all the way down to frickin' Chex Mix racist, well, when you actually identify a racist problem or policy, people aren't going to be as concerned or as immediately outraged over it because you've unfortunately increasingly watered down the significance of that label by throwing it around like candy on Halloween. It's not just this video or this one guy who, he seems nice enough. It's unfortunately an entire genre of TikTok content where they go through and explain minute historical stories or unknown things about how something is problematic in ways that people don't know about it. And I always wonder, if people don't know about it, that means it's having no actual impact on people's daily lives. If Chex was still somehow a racist company and was actively discriminating against Black people, there would be employers or customers who were outraged and upset and raising alarm about it that we could talk about. The fact that nobody knows this arcane history several degrees removed about the company is evidence that nobody is being affected by it. So who cares? Why does it matter? When can we stop this endless parade of constant self-victimization and outrage over the most minute things? I don't know, guys. That's just my take on it. What do you think? Do you think that breakfast cereal is racist? Were you compelled by this guy's video? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like button and even consider subscribing and sticking around.